Okay, it's finally time for a video that I've planned for quite a while now already, just never got the time for it. And it is my best of 2016 gaming headset roundup. Just keep one thing in mind, I will keep it a little more loose, a little bit casual, and it will get quite long. I have already tried this like 4 or 5 times, but it just turns out way too long every time. And I will skip quite a few things. I won't really talk about the microphone. I won't keep maybe talking about things like the box content or whatever you get in terms of features, because if you want to know that, just watch the specific single review, because for all the 9 gaming headsets that I've reviewed, there is a single review. I will link you to the playlist and then you can watch that. But what I want to give you now is a kind of overview of all the 9s, a quick one for everyone. And I will try to keep it short, but so far I never succeeded and the video turned out to be way too long. And then at the end I will make a few categories like best comfort, best maybe value, best sound for games, and so on. But before I'm going to start off, I want to make one thing clear. Audio gear is always something very subjective, and not just the comfort, but especially the sound. And I will just share my opinion and what I've maybe read from the comments. But I can't really make it too objective, because there is no such thing as reviewing a headphone subjective. The quality maybe and so on, but not the overall experience. So just keep that in mind, and I will give you otherwise my best to deliver you the best information, because I've seen that a lot of people still want to know which gaming headset should I go for and so on. And like I said, check the single reviews. You won't really see any kind of B-roll or something like that, just because I don't do that, and the only gaming headsets that you will see here are the ones that I own. Which one those are, you will see. So let's start off with the very first, and I will start to do it chronologically. The first gaming headset I've reviewed this year, the HyperX Cloud II. And no, it's not released in 2016, but I just got to review it the first time. And I kind of had to review this one as a sort of reference point, because this is pretty much the most popular gaming headset on the market because of the great value and the great quality. And that's why I just had to know how that compares to all the other ones. So let me start off with the quick overview here. Feature-wise, absolutely nice. We get a nice high-quality cable. We get a 7.1 dongle. We get, what else do we get? We get velour ear cups, additional to the really comfortable leather ones. And then we get a stereo headset, which is super comfortable. I can't stress this enough, and I actually just bought them yesterday because they were on sale for 55 bucks. That's a no-brainer, because they are still so comfortable. Overall, a little bit much clamping force, but that's fine. But it is the sound that impressed me so much in overall as an amazing all-rounder, because it's great for music, especially me listening rock and a lot of metal and so on. I adore them for this. Really great balance. Highs a little bit cut off, so they are really great for long-term listening. And for gaming, maybe not my very first choice, because I know a lot of professional gamers, actually a lot of CSGO gamers, think this is the most popular, this is the best game headset, and I won't disagree, because I definitely like the localization. I would say the medium to maybe slightly smaller soundstage, which offers a really nice amount of bass, and it's a very punchy bass, maybe not super deep and super precise, but the overall balance for games is still great. Maybe sometimes if I want something more impressive, or action game, a little bit more of a boomy bass, extreme bass would have been nice, but still for the price, absolutely amazing. Now let's talk about the next thing, the HyperX Cloud Revolver, the HyperX Cloud Revolver. That was the second one that I reviewed, and I have to say, did like them so much in terms of comfort, because first of all, you can hear the headband if you touch that. It got conducted over your bones and so on, and you also heard the cable, which was a little bit annoying. That was not the biggest problem though. The comfort was just weird. No matter what I did with them on my ears, it felt weird. It just never had the proper fitted tight one. They slid a little bit back and forth. So not all the great of experience. Just in terms of sound, I would have actually liked them quite good, because highs were a little bit clearer. The soundstage was noticeably wider open, so the localization of enemies and so on in games was even better here. The bass was maybe a little bit more present, but not deep. But it was a little bit of a thinner soundstage on overall balance, but still not bad and down. I would have actually recommended them without any problems, but for me it was the comfort that killed them. No, the next one, Razer Man O War. That was my first wireless gaming headset. It was quite a bulky and big one. The problem that a lot of people, and I totally get that why they had that, the build quality, because you can hear it creaking and it doesn't feel robust. And after all, headsets get quite abused with time, so just keep that in mind. Maybe not the very best choice, but still, that was not a problem. Also not to the comfort because they were quite comfortable. Of course, they were heavy since wireless and with batteries and all that. They also offered 7.1 virtual surround sound, a really great one actually. In terms of sound, maybe not perfect for music, but actually quite nice. The only slight complaint that I had was that the bass was a little bit muddy and a little bit slow. So there is quite a lot of bass, and in the software, of course, you can boost the bass and make some adjustments here and there. But I don't know, it just didn't punch me enough. Otherwise, the immersion due to the 7.1 surround was really great. The next wireless gaming headset that I've reviewed then was the Logitech G933. And it was quite a controversial, special video, especially with my comparison where I just leaned them back a little bit, and a lot of people complained about me trying to make them look bad. But I guess no one actually made the effort and checked my actual review because I did recommend them after all. For me, just the fit was weird because no matter what I did, they over time slid a little bit because we didn't have leather ear cups and they just had a little bit of a, not a tight fit, and with the weight and so on. For me, the fit was not all that great. Comfort was absolutely nice, but that's a personal thing. So I've said that it's subjective, and especially comfort. And with my head shape or whatever, or how I prefer just headsets being a little bit more towards the back, it slid off. Sound, killer bass. Still my most favorite bass if you want to play action-based game or really action-focused games with a lot of explosions and so on, because this is still the first one that felt like you would have a subwoofer in your ears. Extreme bass, still kind of precise enough. Maybe not the very best ones for competitive gamers because the localization was still great, and especially the surround sound was super immersive and a great kind of medium-sized soundstage with a nice immersive effect. With localization was fine, but the bass was still kind of overwhelming the rest. But the experience was great. Maybe not quite so much for competitive gaming, but for enjoying gaming, absolutely. Then we had the Corsair Void, which is still to date my most disappointing headset that I reviewed in pretty much every aspect. I did not like the comfort at all. The comfort actually was still okay, but the fit was completely weird because I've already seen that in the first pictures that I've seen, that the headband has to be very towards the front, which is something that I personally don't like. I like them towards the back, and this was just absolutely not possible. And even there, if I had them properly on, it always felt like I wanted to move them around. It just wasn't all that great. Not for me. I've got comments that people think completely otherwise, which is absolutely fine. But one thing that I can't absolutely understand is the audio, the sound. Because it's wireless, you couldn't use it wired, and therefore we're relying on the maximum sound that it gave you out of the box, which in my opinion was just not loud, not nearly loud enough. I used them at all times 100%, and I still would have for at least 20% more. And the sound itself, even though we had 7.1 or stereo, whatever you tried to do with the equalizer was boring. The sound, the explosions felt like it was not impressive at all. It was not immersive at all. Soundstage felt weird. And if you want to give it a thumbs down for this, I have no problem with that. And I got a few comments that I've tried to bash it and didn't point out any good stuff. But honestly, I didn't personally find any good stuff about it. I just couldn't, no matter what I tried. Next one. The next one was the Sennheiser Game One. Quite a popular one, especially for competitive gamers, and I get that in terms of sound. But just in terms of comfort, really, really nice, because the velour and especially the fit is really nice. A little bit of a higher clamping force, but therefore very secure, comfortable fit over longer periods of time. Maybe not all that isolating, and therefore you could hear your surroundings really good if you want to hear it. I personally don't like open back headphones so much because it kind of takes away from the immersion from me, but that's just me. In terms of sound, really, really great for localization and for situation awareness and so on. Bass was a little bit on the weaker side because just explosions sometimes felt not enormous enough and just not impressive, not dynamic enough. But for a dynamic gamer, especially someone who plays CSGO, you don't need that. And this is not for someone who wants an impressive, spectacular gaming experience. This is just someone who wants what he needs, all the important effects like footsteps and so on. So I totally get that, and they are therefore still very, very recommendable after all. The next ones, yeah, my absolute highlight still the Sennheiser GSP 300, and I've bought them as well. Even though I have to say, what I actually did is I I contacted Sennheiser and I said, I have them at the moment. They were brand new from Sennheiser directly. How much do I gotta pay them because I want to keep them? And they said, okay, let's make an excuse here, or yeah, and make it a long-term loaner. You can keep them, and this has nothing to do with the outcome of the review, because I actually did the review and I bought them already on my own before I knew that, because I made the review, I bought them, had them as you had seen in the review, and like 2 days later they told me this, and that's why I returned the ones that I had double, so it just wasn't necessary. But I still have to say, to keep this short, comfort, I still like them because they are very soft. Of course, a few people due to the leather have a problem. Clamping force is absolutely fine for me. Look is definitely not that great, because something like the Clouds II are still one of the most subtle and pleasing ones to me. But the comfort is, in my opinion, still great. A few people think otherwise, which is, of course, personal preference. And it's the sound that I really like, especially for games, a little bit more than on the GSP, because they have a little bit of a better balance, because where the HyperX Cloud II are more maybe towards hearing everything better, like for example in competitive games, we still have that here extremely well with the really precise, clear, detailed highs, but the bass is just a little bit not boomy in a negative way, but more oomph to it, more a little bit deeper, and therefore a little bit more precise. I just like that, so I felt a little bit more immersed. The soundstage was just a little bit wider, but it was a little bit more impressive, but still giving you the best of both worlds. So impressive, spectacular, bassy, still not nearly on the level of a G933, but you also the precision and the location awareness and all that from the other ones, more precise ones. So that's why it's still kind of my total personal preference. But for music, I will maybe take the Cloud X2 for a little bit better all-round sound and for a longer, not that fatiguing listening experience. Okay, the next one's HyperX Cloud Stinger, and I gotta say, for the price, usually you get them at $40 or maybe $50 or something like that. It's a total no-brainer, because comfort was good. The fit was a little bit something personally that I did not like, so not so much, but still very good, because the shape of the ear cups was a little bit weird in tandem of the headband, so that was a little bit odd to kind of place them properly, but nothing big and very comfortable after all. No high clamping forces like that. Of course, the build quality is not on a level of a HyperX Cloud II, but absolutely respectful for the price, and it was the sound that impressed me quite a lot, because I had them at the same time as the Sennheiser GSP 300, and they were actually quite close. Of course, some minor little details in the bass and in the highs was missing, but also very clear, maybe sometimes slightly harsh highs, really nice, slightly more boomy or more spectacular bass than on the HyperX, but therefore not as punchy, not as precise, with the mids being a little bit thinner than on the HyperX Cloud, but still for the price really great. And for gaming, if you want a little bit more of an impressive, spectacular sound, a little bit more than on the HyperX, maybe actually even the better solution with the slightly wider, more open, more airy soundstage. So highly respectable for that price, absolutely. And then the last ones here, the Razer Kraken, and I kind of get why I got so many dislikes on that review, because I get it. There are a lot of Razer fans out there, and I'm definitely not hating a Razer. After all, I have a Razer keyboard as well and a Razer mouse. The keyboard I don't really use so much anymore, but still the mouse I use, but the keyboard not so much anymore. To keep this short, it had a lot of pros and it had a lot of cons. In terms of pros, comfort is great, even though circular, and it wasn't perfect, but it was still comfortable. Very thick white cushioning. Soundstage, and especially the sound overall, what I've said is not for pro gamers, even though it's called Kraken Pro V2. It felt just a little bit too extreme on the bass side, even though the bass wasn't super precise, not super punchy and detailed, but it was more like heavy and thick. The highs a little recessed, so I don't really know if you hear all the details the way you should hear them on these. So that's something a little bit out in the open, and I would say maybe not all that great, but this is more of a headphone that you need a few days, maybe even longer, to get used to them, to appreciate the sound, because it was a very full and rich sound after all. And for games it was spectacular, especially for action games, really great. For music, not quite my first choice, because it was just too thick. I didn't really hear the details clear enough and so on. Okay, now I've covered all the 9 that I've reviewed. So let's make a few categories and let's pick out the 3 best ones. And I won't really pick them in a particular order, but no. Best comfort, something very important to me. The 3 best ones, still, Sennheiser GSP 300 is one of those. I still like them. They are maybe, I don't know, I feel over the long term a little bit more comfortable to use the HyperX Cloud II because they are a little bit more subtle, a little bit more unnoticeable on your head because you just don't notice them. They are more subtle. The other ones are just a little bit more around you. And the third place or the third one in that row would be the Sennheiser Game One because really, really nice after all as well. Now, best sound for games, and I will split this in impressive gaming, action-based or action-focused gaming, and I will split this in the second for more competitive or precise gaming. When it comes to impressive, absolutely G933. Then actually the Razer Kraken Pro V2 are here as well, and still the Sennheiser GSP 300 because I got that from those as well. But the other ones are still also very good, but these are the 3 that I would point out. Now in terms of more precise gaming, just in terms of precision, the ones that I've found to be the best after all, still Sennheiser Game One. Then actually already the Sennheiser GSP 300. And let me check my list. What else would I take? In that case, I would already, maybe I would take the Revolver if there wouldn't have been the issue that I don't like to cover. But then I would actually maybe, I think, already see within those 3 to be the best HyperX Cloud II. Now, in terms of music, and I have to split this as well. Music a little bit more simplistic, bass heavy music, more fun music, and something a little bit more diverse, like maybe rock and so on, where we hear a lot more instruments and so on. Best 3 ones here would have been definitely for music, no matter what, HyperX Cloud II, the GSP 300, and let me think. I actually liked the Revolver once again. Could be there, but I will actually maybe take already the Man O War. The bass was good enough for maybe more simplistic music. If we talk about now about the 3 best ones for more rock music and so on, once again Cloud X2, once again Sennheiser GSP 300, and then actually a hard choice. I still like the Man O War, but in that case I would give it to the Revolver just in terms of that. Now, in terms of budget, there is only one place, and that easily goes to the HyperX Cloud Stinger. For the price, you can't go wrong. I enjoyed them no matter what, really, really much. Now, if I would have to choose the 3 best ones in overall, I kind of already teased that, or yeah. Still amongst my favorite ones, the HyperX Cloud II. After all, that's why I own them, that's why I bought them. The GSP 300. And the third place overall is actually a little bit hard. Okay, let's actually put the HyperX Stinger here as well, just because for the price they offer so much that they are maybe better than ones on some on the list here, but for the price so close. And okay, let's cover one thing. If I would have to dismiss a few ones that I wouldn't recommend at all, just personally, and keep in mind subjective and so on, then it would be the Revolver, like I said, comfort and so on, but sound actually not because of that. Then the Corsair Void. Sorry, I don't find anything really positive about them. And then the rest, yeah, rest are absolutely recommendable depending on what you actually want from them. So I've covered all the 9 headsets. I definitely will try to do my best to get even more so next year, because there's still a lot more, like for example the Steel series, Arctis series, and a lot more that I want to review. I hope this will work out, but therefore these kind of videos should get a lot of likes and views. That would be definitely helpful. Other than that, I've covered that. I've talked about all of them. I gave you the categories. In case you have still any questions and haven't gotten all the information like microphone quality and so on, like I said, check the reviews. Even though I have to mention one thing in terms of the headphone and the microphone quality, I just recently found out that the best quality that I can achieve to record the audio would be with my handy recorder, and that's the one that I'm going to use from now on. The first one that I've used it with was the Razer Kraken. All the other gaming microphone tests that I did don't really give all the best quality out there, because my previous recording methods for some reason were flawed. Once it was my PC, the laptop didn't just have quite the quality, so just keep that in mind. So it's more important to listen to what I say instead of what it sounds like. But other than that, you will find a lot more information about every single one in the specific review. You will find a little bit more of an in-depth one for the HyperX Cloud II, for the Man O War and the G933 in that smaller comparison that I made already. But otherwise, with about 20 minutes now, I think that would have been it. I have explained it all. I hope this video was helpful. And if it was, thumbs up. Subscribe for hopefully way more gaming headset in the future. And otherwise, comments and questions down below. And otherwise, next. Have a nice day. Bye.